Hey, how's it going? Welcome to another episode of TechEndo. I'm here with Song Zheng, developer evangelist at TokBox, and we're here to talk about the future of APIs. He's also the founder of the API meetup here in San Francisco, and so tell us a little bit about kind of your vision for APIs and the future.
Okay. So I'm a developer evangelist at TokBox, and what TokBox does is we provide an API for live video streaming.
Okay.
So my experience with TokBox is that there is a lot of things you can do with APIs, and so that solves the problem of reinventing the wheel, right? Like if you're building a video chat solution, there is no reason why you have to do the encoding, decoding of video all over again if someone else has already solved the problem, right? What you can do is just use an API and all that problem solved for you, and you can focus on your core product. So going to a lot of events, hackathons and things like that, what I've come to realize is that people don't know what APIs are out there, or if they do, they don't know how to use it, or they're uncomfortable using it.
So let's what is an API for those people that are viewing that may not know?
Okay. API stands for Application Programming Interface. So a company would open up its interface for developers to interact with.
So it's for developers to programmatically connect to a company's services and send and receive data, basically, right?
Yes. So in TokBox example, like the video streams would go through our servers through the API, so that you don't have to configure your own like real-time streaming servers, encoding, decoding stuff yourself.
Cool, super cool. So what makes you excited about APIs?
So the reason why I'm excited about APIs is that you can do a lot with APIs.
Mm-hmm.
So if I go to a hackathon, I don't have to worry about configuring my database. I could use Firebase as a service. They handle the database for me through an API.
Good plug for Firebase here, James. Congratulations on your new raising around, so that's cool.
Right.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but he's a friend. So.
Yes. And so if you want to do like image recognition or facial recognition, you can use IQ engine, right?
Okay.
So you don't have to do everything yourself. So if you want to build like say a prototype or a product just to see if it'll take off, it's always a great idea to start off with an API, and if it catches on, you can either stick with the API, or by that time, if you run into scalability problems, you can roll out your own product. But what I really like about APIs is it lets you do a lot of things in a very little time.
Okay, so it makes it expedites the process of prototyping, really.
Yes.
Okay, and kind of outsources a lot of work that developers traditionally had to do in the past.
Right, and it also abstracts a lot of the concepts away, like a lot of the difficult concepts away, so you don't have to relearn learn it. So for example, context.io, when it comes to email, you need to do SMTP, right? It's a different protocol that is used to send email. So what context.io did is they let developers integrate with their API, so they could read their users, or like parse out their users' email or interact with their users' email without having to integrate the whole SMTP protocol API themselves. So the abstraction layer is great for beginning developers, for developers learning how to program for the first time.
So APIs also allow you to basically integrate a bunch of different services together into your own application. So think of it as a mashup, right? You're taking Michael Jackson and Madonna, coming out with something new and developing a new song. You can do that with products through APIs. Is that essentially right?
Well, you can put a bunch of APIs together
Yeah.
into your product and have like a product which is just a mashup of APIs.
Right.
So you can build products that way.
So what's been exciting in the world of APIs? Since you run the API meetup group, I'm sure you hear a lot about kind of the latest and greatest.
So I think what's really cool is that you have API services for everything now. You can control wall sockets with an API through a RESTful endpoint. You can print out T-shirts. You can do post mail delivery with an API. So The most recent one that I learned about was called shirts.io. So you send a request to shirts.io with your API key to identify you as a developer, and you pass in an image or an image URL and the size and who you want to ship it to, address and things like that, and they'll package the shirt and like print it out and ship it to whoever you want to send it to.
That's super cool. So it's basically the next step in a programmable world, really.
Yes, it's like a programmable world.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. So what's beyond that? Do you know? Has there been any hints on like where do we go next? And once everything is addressable, how do we?
So I think once everything becomes programmable, it really becomes an exponential growth of applications that you can build. So a lot of people who have ideas but not necessarily means to implement every different aspect of his idea will now be able to using APIs.
Okay. So do you think that it's a more like what might be next is a higher level of abstraction where everyday users can integrate products without requiring a programmer's knowledge of APIs? I mean, there's things out there that do that already, like if this, then that, right? Like that's a good product.
So I think I agree with what you just said. In the future or in the near future, you can address like normal day-to-day things like wall sockets or maybe even like the fridge one day, right? You can programmatically build something that's completely tailored to you and customizable, so you can adjust it exactly the way you want it to be. So as it becomes easier and easier to use APIs, I think just with basic coding knowledge, you can do a lot of things.
Interesting. So who are the top like API? I guess what APIs do people use the most right now?
I can't.
I mean, is that a thing? Is that a popular thing?
It's not like a popularity contest, right? It's really about what you need to get done and choosing the best tool for the job. Like if you want to build an application where you intercept incoming calls or like do auto text, you would look at something like Twilio, right?
Yeah.
If you want to do video chat, you use TokBox. If you don't want to worry about a backend database, you use Firebase. So it really comes down to using the right tool for the right job.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So have you had speakers at your API meetups, or are they just developer drink ups, kind of socials?
So in API discovery meetup that I run every other week, what I do is I read through the entire documentation for that API, and I abstract everything. I try to format it in a way so that it's digestible content.
Oh, so you cover an API every other week?
Yeah.
Okay, that's neat. That's really cool.
So then during the meetup, we will have like a half an hour drink where TokBox provides the beer and the space, and then people would drink and get to know each other.
Yeah.
And then after that, everyone would sit down and they'll give like an overview of the different functionalities of the API, so that when they actually go into the documentation, they would at least be somewhat familiar with it. It's like going to a class, right? If you go to a class when you're in school, after hearing the professor talk, and then you read the textbook, everything becomes like a lot easier. So
it's basically like a class on APIs where everyone gets together, drinks, hangs out, and discovers this API together.
Yeah.
That's really nice. That's really cool.
More information by going to meetup.com/API discovery.
Nice. Is there anything else that you feel that we should cover?
Not particularly. I just want to encourage all the people trying to learn how to code right now that if you are determined, it might be a little hard at first, and don't be afraid to use APIs. They'll simplify your life a lot, and you'll learn a lot in the process.
Cool. Well, thanks for coming out. Thanks for chatting with us. Yeah. All right. So that was Song Zheng who's a developer evangelist at TokBox, and you can find more about his meetup group at this URL. And yeah, so thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.